We've been cleaning out our file cabinet, doing income tax. And just, I don't always sort clear to the back, just the little folders. But this time, oh, look at this, look at this. And here was a sermon that I had written, and I think probably about 10 years ago. I don't have a date on it, but I had Adam and Brooke in Sunday school, so. It's called Unconditional Love. I was talking to a friend of mine on the telephone a few weeks ago. She was a little frustrated with her adult children and some of the choices that they were making. She made a comment that has stuck with me. She said she decided that the only thing that we as parents can do when our children pass the age of 18 is to offer them unconditional love. So what is unconditional love? To me, it means that if we love someone, and that could be siblings, spouses, children, parents, our friends, we let them be who they are. We don't try to change them to be what we want them to be. We accept them, warts and all, as the saying goes. And of course, we would hope that they would accept us in the same way. But apparently it's a part of our human nature to assume that we're qualified to tell other people what they need to do to be happy, even if they seem to be doing fine. This attitude of acceptance is harder in practice than in thought. Anyone who's had children has also had the opportunity to see each child as an individual with gifts, talents, personality traits, and these are from birth. Do we stop loving them because they don't do what we want them to do? Become angry with them or with ourselves? Tie ourselves in knots, raise our blood pressure because these people are not living their life the way we want them to? Well, does God stop loving us because we don't live the way that He thinks we should? And this doesn't mean we don't ever step in with corrections or suggestions, especially with the children. I always felt like they should have at least my opinion on it. But to recognize that most unsolicited advice is for our benefit and not for theirs. And it's important to acknowledge that inherent tendency in us to that we know best for someone else. And we all accept the fact that some people march to the beat of a different drummer. But can we be glad for that person when they're a member of our own family circle? Can we let them be content in their life even though it's not what we would have chosen for them? What about how we respond when it's our turn to have some friend or family member tell us that we're not living our lives the way they think we should? We can tell a lot about ourselves by how we react and what we react to. The trick is to remember it later, when we're thinking rationally, and see, maybe, there is a truth there that we might not have noticed ourselves otherwise. The person content with his lot rarely compares his life to others, so he can relax and enjoy what he has. This frustration with other people comes because we're making judgments. As parents, and then as grandparents, we want our children to grow up with no problems, and we want them to be happy all the time. And we worry about them making and having friends. And we are upset if someone makes hurtful comments to them or about them. And we wonder, do we let them go out into the world without us to guard them and soften the blows? But I remember a comment made in Sunday school several years ago about plants in the vegetable garden. And there's no doubt it was Eric made this comment. The seedling that is started inside and kept in the house is never exposed to actual outside conditions. And if it's kept in there too long, it gets weak and spindly. And then if it is put out when it's large like that, it rarely survives. And if it does not have full potential. Some of the best tomatoes we ever raised were from plants that had been pounded by hail and all their leaves shredded and broken off. So making this transition to people, we see that all our experiences can contribute to the development of our spiritual being. Are we wise enough to know what is best for someone else? Most of the time, we're not wise enough to know what's best for ourselves. Swedenborg tells us we become stronger through temptations, and that they are a necessary part of our life on the natural plane of earth. Well, I'm going to skip the rest of this about temptations, because I don't, anyway, that'll be another sermon. Okay, this brings us back to unconditional love. If we can learn to keep judgment out of our opinions and keep the comparisons to a minimum, it'll be easier to accept differences in the people we live with or even deal with. The whole time the Lord was on the earth, He was showing us examples of unconditional love. He helped and healed everywhere He went. And even the times that those people, mostly scribes and Pharisees, who should have known what He was about, they were trying to harm Him, but He didn't retaliate. This should be very, very reassuring to us, because we all do things, physically, mentally, or spiritually, that can be hurtful to others, and we may not even intend to hurt them. This past month in Sunday school for Adam and Brooke, we talked about some of the events of Holy Week. One of the things that Jesus did for His disciples to show them His love was to wash their feet at the Last Supper. We can learn several things from this. The first is, no job is too lowly if it is done with love and respect. The second, sometimes we need to swallow our pride and let someone else do something for us. And three, Jesus believed in showing by example as well as by words. God loves us unconditionally. He loves us enough to let us be who we are, even though He's always trying to guide us and lead us in paths to heavenly life. But He will still love us always unconditionally. I believe that should be our goal as well. We should try to love the good in everyone, not judging whether they deserve it, and realizing we're all a mixture of good and bad. Our church teachings tell us that to love someone is to wish them well. If we can do that without qualifications, then we have a good start on that heavenly path. And then I received a humorous email. And you made up, this was, 10 years ago. After creating heaven and earth, God created Adam and Eve. And the first thing He said was, don't. Don't what? Adam replied. Don't eat the forbidden fruit, God said. Forbidden fruit? We got forbidden fruit? Hey, Eve, we've got forbidden fruit. No way. Yes, way. Don't eat that fruit, said God. Why? Because I'm your father and I said so, said God, wondering why He hadn't stopped after making the elephants. A few minutes later, God saw His kids having an apple break. He was very angry. Didn't I tell you not to eat the fruit? The first parent asked. Uh-huh, Adam replied. Then why did you? I don't know, said Eve. Well, she started it, Adam said. I did not. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Having had it with the two of them, God's punishment was that Adam and Eve should have children of their own. Thus the pattern was set. It has never changed. But here's the reassurance in this story. If you have persistently and lovingly tried to give your children wisdom, and they haven't taken it, don't be hard on yourself. If God has trouble handling His children, what makes you think it would be a piece of cake for you? And I'll close the little prayer. Lord, help us to treat our relatives and all others with the love and respect that You have shown us is possible. And thank You for giving us the patience that we will need to accomplish this.
Well,